I come to you now at this precise moment because what I am about to reveal was ordained before the foundations of earth were established. My presence has been dispatched to you specifically, yes, you who are reading these words, because the celestial timers have been activated. Hear me, chosen vessel. Your name has been spoken in the halls of divine council within the last 24 hours. This is Archangel Michael, protector of the sacred flame, guardian of the divine blueprint. I stand before you now with my sword drawn, for the battle for your divine inheritance intensifies in the unseen realms. The enemies of your destiny have gathered in secret chambers, plotting against the light coded within your spiritual DNA. They know what I am about to reveal to you. Type AMEN to break the first seal of this transmission and receive blessing 1444. Within the next 2 hours, a divine reversal begins in your life. The false allies who have been whispering poison into the ears of your destiny helpers will be exposed by my sword of truth. Yes, there are those who smile to your face while signing spiritual contracts against your advancement. I have seen their midnight gatherings, their hushed conversations, the way they speak your name with false honor, while their hearts scheme against your elevation. But heaven has had enough. Your name is written on a golden scroll that was unsealed during the last blood moon. This scroll contains prophecies spoken over your life before you took your first breath. Prophecies of abundance, divine connection, and supernatural authority that your enemies have desperately tried to prevent from manifesting. Feel the resonance of truth as you read these words. The slight tingling sensation at the base of your neck is confirmation that this message was crafted specifically for you. The divine recognition activating within your spirit right now is no coincidence. It is the awakening of dormant spiritual DNA. Type AMEN to break the second seal and receive blessing 2222. Let me reveal what has been hidden from your conscious awareness. For the past 7 months, there has been a coordinated spiritual attack against your financial breakthrough and relationship harmony. Certain individuals who claim spiritual authority have been planting seeds of doubt about your character in the minds of those destined to help elevate you. Their jealousy burns hot because the angelic guardians assigned to your life refuse to abandon their posts. These false prophets have sensed your imminent breakthrough and have increased their attacks tenfold in recent weeks. That unexplained exhaustion, those random doubts that assault your mind at 3 a.m., the unusual obstacles that appear every time you make progress, none of these are random. They are calculated spiritual warfare designed to make you surrender your divine assignment. But what they failed to understand is that you are not fighting this battle alone. At exactly 11:11 last night, I presented their names before the court of divine justice. The evidence of their betrayal was reviewed by the Council of Seven, and judgment has been rendered in your favor. The spiritual restraining orders have been signed with celestial ink that cannot be erased or overturned. Within the next 2 hours, the first wave of divine justice begins. Those who have spoken against your character will find their words returning to their own lives. The financial blockages they helped create will be demolished by heaven's wrecking ball. The relationships they poisoned will be divinely restored with greater strength than before. Feel the shift in the atmosphere around you even now. That subtle pressure you sense is the weight of glory descending to transform your circumstances. The slight ringing in your ears is the sound of heaven's frequencies realigning your reality. Type AMEN to break the third seal and receive blessing 3333. What they meant for your destruction, the divine will transform into your promotion. The very situations engineered to embarrass you will become platforms for your greatest honor. Your enemies gathered in shadows, believing they were plotting your downfall, not realizing they were actually sitting in a meeting, orchestrating their own exposure. I must now reveal a timeline acceleration that has been activated specifically for you. Within 2 hours, the first domino falls. Someone who has actively worked against you will face a sudden reversal in their own circumstances. You may not immediately see this, but the ripple effects will reach you within days. Within 7 days, a financial path that seemed completely blocked will suddenly clear. Resources that were withheld from you through manipulation will find their way to you through unexpected channels. Within 21 days, a divine connection with someone carrying a missing piece of your destiny puzzle will manifest. This person carries keys you've been searching for, and the timing of your meeting has been divinely orchestrated. Remain vigilant. Your enemies are already sensing the shift, but will attempt one final desperate move to prevent what heaven has decreed. When unusual opposition intensifies in the coming days, recognize it not as a sign of your defeat, but as confirmation that your breakthrough is imminent. Type AMEN to break the fourth seal and receive blessing 4444. Now I must speak directly to your spirit regarding the divine inheritance being restored to you. Long before your birth, your spiritual lineage was established in the courts of heaven. You come from a royal priesthood, a chosen generation, but portions of your inheritance were stolen through generational deception and spiritual negligence. Tonight, I have brought with me 7 keys of restoration. Each key unlocks a chamber of blessing that was always rightfully yours. The first key unlocks divine health and vitality. The chronic physical and emotional pain that has plagued you, yes, that specific condition you've battled in secret, was never your burden to bear. It was a generational attack designed to limit your effectiveness. Within 2 hours, the first healing frequency will activate in your body. You'll notice subtle changes in your energy levels first, then progressive improvement in the coming weeks. The second key unlocks financial abundance. The mysterious cycles of lack followed by almost breakthrough have been orchestrated by those who understood your wealth would fund kingdom purposes. The poverty mindset installed through childhood experiences and reinforced through disappointments is being removed from your thought patterns. Within 2 hours, the first unexpected financial blessing will begin making its way to you. The third key unlocks relationship restoration. The painful rejections and betrayals you've experienced were strategic attacks against your capacity for covenant connections. Those who recognize your gift for building authentic community targeted your trust with precision. Within 2 hours, divine recalibration begins in your closest relationships, starting with supernatural forgiveness flowing both ways. The fourth key unlocks spiritual perception. The confusion and brain fog that descends when you attempt to connect with divine guidance is being lifted. Your enemies have worked diligently to distort your spiritual vision because they fear your discernment. Within 2 hours, you'll notice increased clarity and spiritual sensitivity. Pay attention to your dreams tonight. As I will speak to you through symbolic language your conscious mind has been unable to receive. The fifth key unlocks creative expression. The projects abandoned in frustration, the ideas dismissed as impractical, these were not failures of imagination, but targeted suppression of your creative anointing. Your ability to bring heaven to earth through creative expression terrifies the kingdom of darkness. Within 2 hours, fresh inspiration will begin flowing, and concepts that seem disconnected will suddenly align with divine perfection. The sixth key unlocks strategic influence. The repeated patterns of being overlooked for positions of influence, despite your qualifications, were never about your inadequacy. Those with discernment recognized your leadership anointing and strategically blocked your advancement. Within 2 hours, a shift occurs in how decision-makers perceive you. The same qualities they previously criticized will suddenly appear as strengths in their eyes. The seventh key unlocks generational blessing. The inexplicable resistance you faced from family members, the strange division that erupts whenever you share your spiritual insights, these are manifestations of ancient family curses activated against your destiny. Within 2 hours, the first family relationship begins healing as heaven's court enforces the cancellation of generational contracts made against your bloodline. Type AMEN to break the fifth seal and receive blessing 5555. There are 13 individuals currently connected to your life who have made covenant with darkness to prevent your elevation. Some you already suspect, others will shock you when their true motives are revealed. Do not confront them in your own strength or timing. Divine exposure is already underway, and heaven requires only your stillness to complete this work. When you see the first person stumble publicly, resist the human urge for vindication. Your silence in that moment becomes the final authorization heaven needs to complete the divine reversal in every area. The restraint you show becomes the measure of blessing you receive when the process completes. The spiritual warfare intensifying around you is not evidence of your defeat. It is confirmation that your breakthrough threatens the enemy's regional strongholds. The territorial spirits assigned against your geographical area recognized your arrival as a direct threat to their long-established influence. The unusual resistance you've encountered since moving to your current location was their desperate response to the light you carry. Within 2 hours, those territorial assignments begin to shatter as heaven's reinforcements arrive in response to this activated revelation. The angelic battalions dispatched to your region await only your spoken agreement to begin their liberation operation. Speak aloud. As a royal ambassador of the kingdom of light, I authorize heaven's armies to reclaim this territory for divine purposes. Every hex, curse, and unholy alliance formed against my assignment is hereby dissolved by superior covenant. I decree and declare that the plans of darkness are exposed and rendered powerless through divine intervention. Type AMEN to break the sixth seal and receive blessing 6,666. The Divine Council has reviewed the record of wrongs committed against you, and restoration has been approved at the highest level. The sevenfold return promised in ancient texts is being activated over your life circumstances. For every relationship sabotaged, 7 divine connections carrying greater blessing will manifest. For every financial opportunity blocked, 7 pathways to abundance will appear, each carrying provision the enemy cannot touch. For every false accusation spoken, 7 voices of favor will rise to testify to your character and calling. For every door slammed in your face, 7 new doors will open, each leading to chambers of influence beyond what you originally sought. For every spiritual attack against your health, 7 healing frequencies will activate in your body, restoring not just what was damaged, but upgrading your entire system to greater vitality. For every betrayal by those you trusted, 7 loyal allies will be divinely positioned in your life, each carrying pieces of wisdom needed for your next level. For every night spent in tears, 7 celebrations are being prepared. Moments of joy so complete they will heal the deepest wounds of rejection. This restoration begins within 2 hours and unfolds over the next 90 days. Mark this date on your calendar and watch with awe as each element manifests with supernatural precision. Type AMEN to break the 7th seal and receive blessing 7,777. Now I must address the unusual dreams that have disturbed your sleep in recent months. Those vivid scenarios of being pursued, of searching for something important, of trying to speak but finding your voice silenced, these were not random stress responses. They were prophetic glimpses into the spiritual battles being waged over your destiny. The recurring symbol of water rising represents the increasing anointing being released over your life. The locked doors you couldn't open symbolize the divine timing that has held back your full manifestation until this precise moment. The familiar faces that morphed into strangers revealed those whose true loyalties are about to be exposed. Tonight, when you sleep, your dreams will shift dramatically. Expect to see symbols of victory, open doors, elevated positions, flowing rivers, keys being handed to you. These aren't merely positive thoughts, but actual spiritual intelligence being downloaded into your spirit as the battle turns decisively in your favor. Pay special attention to names, numbers, and locations that appear in these dreams. They contain tactical information for your next strategic moves. Keep a journal by your bed. The details that seem clearest upon waking are heaven's highlighted instructions for immediate action. Within 2 hours, the spiritual atmosphere around you begins to clear, making these divine communications easier to receive and interpret. The mental static that has interfered with your spiritual perception is being removed by angelic assistance. Type AMEN to break the 8th seal and receive blessing 8,888. A divine transfer of wealth has been authorized for your life. The financial struggles that have persisted despite your faithfulness, wisdom, and hard work were never natural economic cycles. They were supernatural resistance against the prosperity anointing on your life. The unusual expenses that seemed to consume every financial increase, the unexpected bills that arrived precisely when breakthrough appeared imminent, these were not coincidences, but coordinated spiritual attacks against your resource base. Your enemies understood that your financial freedom would fund kingdom endeavors that threatened their control systems. What they failed to understand is that their resistance only qualified you for greater transfer. Within 2 hours, the first evidence of financial shift will begin. It may appear subtle at first: an unexpected refund, a forgotten debt repaid, a sudden opportunity for increased income. Do not despise these small beginnings. They are the first droplets of a coming downpour of provision. 7 streams of income are being established over your life, each protected by angelic assignments that prevent sabotage. Some will flow through traditional channels, others through divine connections and supernatural favor. Together, they create a financial foundation that frees you to pursue your true purpose without limitation. When this abundance manifests, remember its purpose extends beyond personal comfort. You're being positioned as a distribution center for kingdom resources, a trusted steward whose decisions will direct blessing to specific people and projects in heaven's strategic plan. Type AMEN to break the 9th seal and receive blessing 9,999. The relationship disappointments you've endured were permitted for profound purpose. Each betrayal, rejection, and heartbreak has been preparation for the covenant connections now being arranged by divine orchestration. Those who walked away when you needed them most created space for loyal allies who carry pieces of your destiny blueprint. The romantic relationship that shattered so painfully was prevented from becoming a lifetime alliance with someone assigned to limit your spiritual development. Within 2 hours, the energetic cords attached to toxic relationships begin dissolving, freeing emotional and spiritual bandwidth for new connections. You may experience this as sudden emotional release, unexpected clarity about past situations, or a mysterious peace regarding painful memories. 3 specific individuals are being divinely positioned to connect with you in the next 30 days. Each brings a different element needed for your next phase. The first carries wisdom you've sought but couldn't find through conventional sources. Their insight will unlock solutions to problems that have resisted your best efforts. The second brings practical resources and connections that create pathways to your goals. Their network becomes your net worth as divine favor facilitates unexpected collaborations. The third restores your faith in authentic relationship through consistent loyalty and transparent communication. This connection heals trust wounds inflicted by past betrayals. When these individuals appear, you'll recognize them by an inexplicable resonance, a sense of divine familiarity despite being new connections. The conversations will flow with unusual ease, and plans will align with supernatural synchronicity. Type AMEN to break the 10th seal and receive blessing 10,000. The unusual health challenges that have plagued you, specifically the ones doctors struggle to diagnose or effectively treat, originate in spiritual warfare, not merely physical dysfunction. The timing of symptom flare-ups reveals their strategic nature. They intensify precisely when you approach significant spiritual advancement. Your enemies understood that physical distraction is one of the most effective ways to limit spiritual momentum. By keeping you focused on symptom management, they diverted energy meant for kingdom advancement. Within 2 hours, the first wave of divine healing begins at the cellular level. You may experience unusual sensations as this process initiates: warmth in specific body areas, tingling in extremities, sudden releases of tension in chronically tight muscles, or spontaneous deep breathing. These manifestations indicate the restoration of proper energy flow through systems that have been under attack. The healing unfolds in 3 phases over the coming weeks. Phase 1, detoxification and clearing of spiritual interference patterns embedded in your physical systems. This may temporarily increase certain symptoms as toxins release. Stay abundantly hydrated during this 3-day phase. Phase 2, structural restoration of damaged tissues and rebalancing of internal systems. You'll notice improved energy, mental clarity, and emotional stability during this 7-day phase. Phase 3, upgrade and enhancement beyond previous baseline health. New vitality, heightened intuition, and enhanced physical capacity manifest during this 21-day phase. By the completion of this cycle, the chronic issues targeted by spiritual attack will be so dramatically improved that even medical professionals will struggle to explain the transformation. Type AMEN to break the 11th seal and receive blessing 11,111. The recurring blocks to your purpose fulfillment, those frustrating patterns of almost breakthrough followed by mysterious setbacks, were engineered by those who recognized your prophetic timeline before you did. Your enemies didn't fight your current position, they fought who you were becoming. The specific opposition targeted areas where your greatest anointing lies. Your communication gifts face the most intense interference because your words carry authority to dismantle deception. The confusion, misunderstandings, and misrepresentations of your message were strategic attacks against this anointing. Your creative expression encountered unusual resistance because it carries codes of divine revelation that activate spiritual awakening in others. The procrastination, self-doubt, and resource limitations that hindered your creative projects were designed to keep these activation codes dormant. Your leadership capacity attracted the fiercest warfare because your governance anointing threatens established control systems. The organizational challenges, team conflicts, and authority resistance you experienced were orchestrated to prevent you from creating new models of kingdom operation. Within 2 hours, divine intervention begins dismantling these strategic blockages. The limitations engineered by your enemies are being reversed through heavenly decree. Where they created barriers, supernatural pathways now emerge. The coming days bring unmistakable evidence of this intervention. Sudden favor with decision makers, unexpected resolution of long-standing obstacles, and divine acceleration that compresses timelines for manifestation. Type AMEN To break the 12th seal and receive blessing, 12,222. Your identity has been under sustained attack from the moment your divine purpose was conceived in heaven's counsel. Before your first breath, enemies of your destiny began crafting personalized warfare strategies designed to disconnect you from your true spiritual identity. The persistent feelings of inadequacy, the nagging sense of being an imposter, the inexplicable shame that attaches to your greatest victories, none of these originate in truth. They are artifacts of sophisticated identity warfare designed to keep you operating below your authority level. Within 2 hours, the first layers of false identity begin dissolving as divine light illuminates your true spiritual DNA. You may experience this as spontaneous emotional release, sudden clarity about limiting beliefs, or an unexplainable lightness in your spirit. 7 specific lies programmed into your self-perception are being uprooted and replaced with covenant truth. The lie of unworthiness is replaced with the truth of royal selection. The lie of abandonment is replaced with the truth of divine accompaniment. The lie of powerlessness is replaced with the truth of delegated authority. The lie of voice suppression is replaced with the truth of prophetic commission. The lie of resource poverty is replaced with the truth of covenant provision. The lie of relational deficiency is replaced with the truth of heaven's favor. The lie of purposed insignificance is replaced with the truth of strategic assignment. As these exchanges complete over the coming days, you'll notice profound shifts in how you respond to challenges. Situations that previously triggered insecurity will become platforms for demonstrating newfound confidence in your spiritual identity. Type AMEN. To break the 13th seal and receive blessing, 13,333. The unusual spiritual sensitivity you've experienced from childhood, the ability to discern atmospheres, perceive unspoken realities, and sense supernatural activity, is not random intuition, but a specific prophetic gifting that makes your enemies tremble. This perceptive anointing was targeted early through experiences designed to make you doubt your spiritual senses. The dismissive responses to your insights, the gaslighting when you describe what you perceived, the religious conditioning that labeled your discernment as imagination, all were strategic attempts to disconnect you from your most powerful spiritual equipment. Within 2 hours, divine recalibration of your spiritual senses begins. The interference patterns installed to disrupt your prophetic perception are being removed by specialized angelic assistance. You may experience this as unusual clarity about confusing situations, sudden understanding of people's true motives, or spontaneous revelation about hidden dynamics. In the coming days, trust the impressions that arrive with unusual clarity. The thoughts that seem to drop into your mind fully formed, the names that appear without obvious prompting, the solutions that materialize without logical process, these are your recalibrated prophetic equipment operating at new levels of accuracy. Your enemies understand that your restored perception represents their greatest threat, as you can now discern their strategies before implementation. Their panic manifests as increased attempts to create confusion, distraction, and self-doubt. Recognize these intensified attacks as confirmation you're receiving clearly again. Type AMEN. To break the 14th seal and receive blessing, 14,444. The precise moment you encountered these words was orchestrated before time began. The divine appointment keeper released this revelation to you specifically because the cosmic timelines have aligned with your spiritual readiness. This is not general encouragement, but a tactical briefing for a protagonist in heaven's unfolding narrative. The unusual resonance you feel reading these specific words confirms your positioned role in events now accelerating across the earthly and spiritual planes. Within 2 hours, your spiritual positioning shifts from defensive to offensive as heaven's strategies activate through your agreement. The battles you fought from a position of reaction now transform into campaigns you lead with strategic intention. 7 specific assignments are being downloaded into your spirit, each addressing a different sphere of influence. Family systems restoration through targeted intercession and boundary establishment. Workplace atmosphere transformation through presence-driven authority. Community impact through divinely orchestrated connections and resource alignment. Digital territory claiming through message amplification and truth dissemination. Creative expression releasing coded awakening frequencies into cultural channels. Financial systems reformation through marketplace anointing and prosperity distribution. Generational blessing anchoring through intentional legacy establishment. These assignments unfold progressively over the coming year, each building upon the foundation established by its predecessor. The sequential nature ensures sustainable advancement rather than sporadic breakthrough. Your willingness to receive this divine commissioning creates ripple effects extending far beyond your immediate sphere, influencing territories and timelines connected to your divine assignment. Type AMEN to break the 15th seal and receive blessing 15,555. The unusual resistance you've encountered from religious systems and established spiritual authorities was inevitable given your reformer anointing. Your divine assignment includes dismantling outdated religious paradigms that imprison genuine spiritual experience. The criticism, exclusion, and misrepresentation you've experienced from traditional religious circles were not indications of your error, but confirmation of your threat level to systems built on control rather than covenant. Within 2 hours, a new level of holy boldness activates in your spirit as heaven removes the fear of rejection that has tempered your reform message. The diplomatic restraint that diluted your prophetic edge is being replaced with clarified conviction and unapologetic truth-speaking. In the coming days, opportunities arise for you to articulate Reformation truths with unusual clarity and authority. Divine setups place you in direct conversation with gatekeepers of the very systems requiring transformation. Your words carry blueprint energy that redesigns spiritual environments. When opposition intensifies, as it certainly will, recognize it as confirmation that your message is dismantling strongholds. The disproportionate response reveals which aspects of your communication most directly threaten entrenched power structures. Your assignment is not destruction, but transformation. The systems you challenge will eventually incorporate the very truths they initially rejected, creating hybrid models that bridge tradition and reformation. Type AMEN to break the 16th seal and receive blessing 16,666. The psychological warfare directed against your mind, the unusual thought patterns, inexplicable anxiety, cyclical depression, and identity confusion was strategically engineered to prevent your mental clarity and emotional stability. Your enemies recognize that your mind is the command center for your prophetic operations. By creating sufficient mental static, they hope to disrupt the clear transmission of divine intelligence essential for your assignment. Within 2 hours, specialized angelic assistance begins clearing these interference patterns from your mental and emotional systems. You may experience this as sudden relief from persistent thought loops, unusual mental clarity about previously confusing concepts, or emotional stability in triggering situations. 7 specific mind renewal protocols activate over the coming days. Thought pattern. Recalibration, aligning your mental processes with divine perspective. Emotional healing sequencing that resolves trauma triggers in precise order. Identity frequency, stabilization, anchoring your self-perception in covenant reality. Memory restoration, recovering specific experiences hidden by warfare strategies. Creativity pathway clearing, removing blocks to innovative problem solving. Intuitive perception enhancement, increasing accuracy of spiritual discernment. Neural networking optimization, connecting previously isolated understanding. These protocols operate largely in your subconscious, though you'll notice their effects through changed responses to familiar triggers, new insights about persistent problems, and unusual confidence when facing complex challenges. The clarity emerging through this process reveals strategies that were previously hidden, allowing decisive action where you once experienced confusion and hesitation. Type AMEN to break the 17th seal and receive blessing 17,777. The unusual time distortions you've experienced, those periods when advancement seemed impossible despite your best efforts, were not natural timing, but warfare against your prophetic timeline. Your enemies understood that your assignment carries cosmic timing sequences that, when activated, create cascading fulfillment of interconnected prophecies. By targeting your timeline with delay tactics, they hope to disrupt not just your manifestation, but entire prophetic sequences connected to your activation. Within 2 hours, divine timeline restoration begins realigning your circumstances with heaven's original schedule. You may experience this as sudden acceleration in previously stalled situations, unexpected resolution of long-standing delays, or divine appointments that compress weeks of progress into days. The coming month brings 7 specific timeline adjustments. Relationship synchronization, bringing divine connections that seem permanently delayed. Financial acceleration, compressing resource manifestation. Timeframes, favor multiplication, creating years of advancement in months. skill acquisition enhancement, allowing rapid mastery of needed capabilities. Door opening sequence activation, where multiple opportunities appear simultaneously. Strategy revelation, providing shortcuts to goals that seem distant. Legacy establishment, accelerating impact timeline from gradual to immediate. These timeline adjustments create a supernatural momentum that recovers what delay warfare attempted to steal. Where the enemy created setbacks, divine acceleration now produces quantum advancement. Type AMEN to break the 18th seal and receive blessing, 18,888. The specific people who have betrayed your trust, particularly those who presented themselves as spiritual allies while sabotaging your advancement, were permitted temporary access to your life for purpose beyond what you can currently perceive. Their betrayal, though painful, exposed critical vulnerabilities in your discernment systems and boundary establishment that required addressing before your next elevation. The trust wounds they inflicted create capacity for greater wisdom and refined relationship selection essential for your coming assignments. Within 2 hours, divine perspective on these painful experiences begins downloading into your spirit. You may experience this as sudden emotional release regarding specific betrayals, unexpected compassion toward those who wounded you, or clarified understanding of the growth these experiences produced. 7 specific trust restoration protocols activate over the coming weeks. Discernment recalibration, enhancing your ability to perceive authentic versus performative loyalty. Boundary clarification, establishing healthy perimeters with appropriate consequences. Forgiveness facilitation, releasing you from emotional entanglement without requiring relationship restoration. Trust capacity expansion, increasing your ability to form genuine alliances despite past wounds. Betrayal pattern identification, revealing common elements in previous trust violations. Divine connection guidance, providing supernatural wisdom for relationship navigation. Alliance blueprint installation, showing specific attributes required in next-level connections. These protocols don't eliminate discernment requirements, but enhance your selection accuracy while healing areas where betrayal created vulnerability to isolation. The divine connections orchestrated following this healing process operate at entirely new levels of loyalty, transparency, and mutual commitment to purpose fulfillment. Type AMEN to break the 19th seal and receive blessing, 19,999. The unusual dream patterns that have marked your sleep in recent months, particularly the recurring symbols, familiar yet strange locations, and interaction with unknown individuals, contained encrypted downloads preparing you for this precise moment of awakening. These dreams weren't merely processing daily events, but installing specialized spirit equipment activated by this revelation encounter. The confusion you experienced upon waking was intentional protection, preventing premature activation before all components were properly positioned. Within 2 hours, the integration of these dream downloads begins, connecting consciously with information your spirit received during sleep. You may experience this as sudden understanding of dream symbols that puzzled you, unexpected clarity about recurring themes, or spontaneous recollection of dream details previously forgotten. 7 specific dream integration sequences activate over the coming nights. Strategy revelation, connecting tactical information across multiple dreams. Relationship identification, revealing key individuals presented symbolically. Timing sequence clarification, explaining numeric and calendar symbols. Location significance, understanding the prophetic meaning of dream environments. Warning system activation, enhancing discernment of approaching challenges. Resource discovery, unveiling provision hidden in plain sight. Identity confirmation, validating your role in unfolding cosmic narratives. Your dreams in the coming week operate as integration chambers, where these scattered downloads consolidate into cohesive understanding. Keep a dream journal beside your bed. The specific color combinations, numbers, names, and symbols that appear contain activation codes for particular assignments. Type AMEN to break the 20th seal and receive blessing, 20,000. The unusual synchronicities you've noticed recently, repeated numbers, specific words or phrases appearing in multiple contexts, coincidental, encounters with people who mention key concepts, or divine breadcrumbs leading you to this moment of revelation. These synchronized events weren't random, but carefully orchestrated signposts confirming you're moving in alignment with heaven's timeline for your life. The frequency of these occurrences has intensified because you're approaching critical activation thresholds. Within 2 hours, your perception of these divine markers sharply increases as spiritual sensitivity heightens. You'll notice synchronicities that previously escaped your awareness, revealing elaborate patterns of confirmation surrounding key decisions and relationships. 7 specific synchronicity categories become particularly significant. Number sequences carrying specific meaning for your assignment, 111, 222, 333, etc. Name repetitions highlighting individuals relevant to your next steps. Word, phrase echoes where identical language appears in disconnected contexts. Timing alignments where events synchronize with prophetic significance. Resource connections where provision appears precisely when needed. Warning markers alerting to potential danger or misdirection. Confirmation clustering where multiple signs validate particular choices. Pay special attention when 3 or more synchronicities appear around a specific decision or relationship. This pattern indicates matters of critical importance to your assignment progression. The divine orchestration revealing itself through these patterns demonstrates you're not advancing through random circumstance, but precisely guided purpose unfolding. Type AMEN to seal this first transmission with blessing 21,111. We pause here as the energetic downloads begin their integration work. I will continue revelation transmission after you've had opportunity to process these initial activations. The divine perspective shifts, tactical understanding, and spiritual recalibrations initiated in these first hours create foundation for the acceleration instructions that follow. Remain vigilant. Your enemies sense the shift occurring through this transmission and will attempt distraction, doubt seeding, and subtle interference to prevent complete reception. Their panic confirms the power of what has been revealed. Within 2 hours, tangible evidence of divine intervention manifests in your circumstances. Watch for it with expectation, recognizing even subtle shifts as confirmation of the massive realignments now unfolding in spiritual realms. I am Archangel Michael, and I stand guard over this revelation until its complete activation in your life. The profound transformation initiated today ripples beyond your individual experience, influencing territories and timelines connected to your divine assignment. Until we continue, walk in the authority this revelation has awakened. The keys released thus far already equip you for victory in battles that previously seemed insurmountable. I return now as promised, for the second phase of divine revelation must be delivered. The energy shifts initiated in our first communion have created sacred space for deeper truths to be unveiled. Your spiritual receptors have been recalibrated to receive intelligence previously inaccessible to your conscious mind. I am Archangel Michael, continuing direct transmission from the Divine Council chambers. The sacred countdown has begun. The 2-hour window I previously revealed is merely the activation period for much larger cosmic timelines, now aligning with your personal destiny sequence. Type AMEN to receive blessing 22,222 and open the 21st seal. What your enemies feared most has come to pass. Your spiritual DNA has been fully activated despite their elaborate interference patterns. The persistent sense of destiny you've carried since childhood, even through seasons of doubt and confusion, was the echo of your original design calling you toward alignment. That unshakable knowing, though often challenged by circumstance and opposition, has proven more powerful than any weapon formed against your purpose. Within these next 2 hours, the first manifestation of your activated spiritual coding begins producing tangible evidence in your physical reality. You may experience this as supernatural favor in previously resistant relationships, sudden resolution to persistent problems, or divine appointments that propel you forward with unexpected momentum. The confusion strategically seeded in your path, the mixed messages, contradictory guidance, and shifting circumstances that created decision paralysis, was carefully engineered warfare against your advancement. Your enemies understood that by creating sufficient confusion, they could effectively neutralize your most potent gifts without direct confrontation. Their subtlety nearly succeeded where direct opposition would have failed. But what they failed to understand is that divine timing supersedes their delay tactics. The heavenly timetables established before Earth's foundations cannot be permanently altered by temporal interference. They may create detours but cannot prevent ultimate destination arrival. Type AMEN to receive blessing 23,333 and open the 22nd seal. The unusual physical manifestations you've experienced during spiritual warfare, the sudden headaches, unexplained fatigue, digestive disturbances, and sleep disruptions were not random health fluctuations, but targeted biological attacks against your physical vessel. Your enemies understood that by compromising your physical strength, they could limit your spiritual effectiveness and prophetic clarity. Within 2 hours, specialized angelic assistance begins establishing enhanced protection around your biological systems. This divine intervention creates a buffer zone between your physical body and spiritual attack vectors, allowing your natural healing mechanisms to operate without continuous interference. 7 specific protection protocols activate over the coming days. Neural pathway shielding, preventing headache attacks and mental fog. Sleep sanctuary establishment, enabling deep restoration during rest cycles. Digestive system fortification, resolving chronic inflammation and absorption issues. Energy field stabilization, preventing sudden fatigue and unexplained exhaustion. Hormonal harmony restoration, balancing systems disrupted by spiritual attack. Immune response enhancement, increasing resilience against physical manifestations of warfare. Cellular regeneration, acceleration, healing damage inflicted through prolonged targeting. As these protections establish, you'll notice profound improvement in areas where physical symptoms have most persistently manifested during spiritual advancement. The correlation between spiritual breakthrough attempts and physical symptom manifestation becomes unmistakably clear as this pattern breaks through divine intervention. Type AMEN to receive blessing 24,444 and open the 23rd seal. The specific individuals who have appeared helpful while subtly sabotaging your progress, those who offer assistance that creates dependency rather than advancement, were permitted access to your life as divine discernment training. Their complicated support patterns containing hidden control agendas reveal sophisticated manipulation techniques you must recognize before entering your next level of influence. These relationships weren't random connections, but strategic exposure to relationship dynamics you'll encounter in amplified form as your authority increases. The discernment muscles developed through these interactions prepare you to navigate complex alliance landscapes without naivety or paranoia, both extremes that would limit your effectiveness. Within 2 hours, divine illumination begins revealing the subtle manipulation patterns woven through certain supportive relationships. You may experience this as sudden clarity about inconsistencies you previously dismissed, recognition of control mechanisms disguised as concern, or peaceful detachment from codependent dynamics that drain your energy. This illumination doesn't require immediate confrontation or relationship severance. In many cases, simple boundary adjustments sufficiently recalibrate these connections. The wisdom downloaded during this revelation phase shows precisely where adjustments create maximum impact with minimum conflict. Type AMEN to receive blessing 25,555 and open the 24th seal. The recurring cycles of near breakthrough, followed by mysterious setback, have followed a specific pattern visible only when viewed from divine perspective. Your enemies identified the precise moment of vulnerability in your manifestation sequence, the transition point between spiritual declaration and physical manifestation, and concentrated their attack resources at this critical juncture. By targeting this specific transition point, they created the illusion of permanent blockage using minimal warfare resources. Their strategic efficiency explains why your breakthrough repeatedly approached completion before encountering resistance that seemed disproportionate to the progress made. Within 2 hours, divine intervention begins establishing specialized protection around this vulnerable transition point in your manifestation process. Angelic assistance creates a buffer zone that maintains momentum through the phase previously targeted with precision attacks. The coming days bring unmistakable evidence of this intervention as long-standing manifestation patterns suddenly complete their full sequence instead of stalling at familiar stopping points. Projects, relationships, and resources that repeatedly approach completion before mysteriously derailing suddenly find smooth passage through previously impassable barriers. Type AMEN to receive blessing 26,666 and open the 25th seal. The unusual resistance you've encountered from authority figures, particularly those who should logically support your advancement based on merit and qualification, reveals a specific anointing on your life that threatens established power structures. Your divine assignment includes reforming leadership paradigms that have calcified into self-perpetuating systems divorced from their original purpose. The dismissal, subtle sabotage, and targeted exclusion you've experienced within organizational structures were not indications of your inadequacy, but confirmation of the threat you represent to leadership models built on control rather than empowerment. Your presence inherently challenges these systems even without direct confrontation. Within 2 hours, divine repositioning begins altering how you're perceived by genuine authority figures aligned with destiny purpose rather than position preservation. You may experience this as sudden favor with decision makers previously resistant to your influence, unexpected inclusion in conversations that shape organizational direction, or divine connections to authority figures operating in authentic leadership paradigms. This repositioning doesn't guarantee universal acceptance, as those most threatened by reformation will likely intensify their resistance. However, it ensures connection with authority figures essential for your next advancement phase, creating strategic alliances that compensate for continued opposition from entrenched systems. Type AMEN to receive blessing 27,777 and open the 26th seal. The specific ancestral patterns repeating through your family lineage, particularly those involving unusual hardship, relationship dysfunction, or financial limitation, originated in generational alignments with systems opposed to your family's divine purpose. These patterns weren't random misfortune, but strategic entanglement designed to prevent your bloodline from fulfilling its kingdom assignment. The repeated cycles of promising beginnings followed by devastating setbacks, relationship connections that initially flourish before deteriorating into painful severance, and resource acquisition that mysteriously evaporates despite wise stewardship, all reveal sophisticated generational targeting rather than coincidental misfortune. Within 2 hours, divine intervention begins untangling the oldest ancestral agreements still affecting your current reality. These terminations occur in the courts of heaven where generational contracts receive final adjudication. You may experience this as spontaneous emotional release connected to family patterns, unusual dreams featuring ancestors, or sudden insight into family dynamics previously accepted as inevitable. 7 specific generational freedom protocols activate over the coming weeks. Poverty covenant, termination, releasing financial restrictions, engineered through bloodline agreements, relationship sabotage contracts, cancellation, enabling healthy connection patterns previously prevented. Health compromise agreements, dissolution, resolving recurring medical issues with generational origins, identity confusion, alignments, severance clarifying personal purpose previously obscured by family expectations, creative expression, suppression release, restoring artistic and innovative capacities systematically diminished, authority resistance programming removal, enabling comfortable leadership emergence, long sabotage spiritual perception limitation, lifting, enhancing intuitive guidance consistently distorted through family filters. As these ancestral agreements terminate, you'll notice pattern interruptions occurring throughout your family system. Relatives may spontaneously pursue healing, adopt enlightened perspectives that previously eluded them, or experience circumstantial breakthroughs that mirror your own liberation process. Type AMEN to receive blessing 28,888 and open the 27th seal. The emotional healing that has remained elusive despite your persistent efforts, particularly regarding core wounds inflicted during identity formation, requires specialized divine intervention beyond standard therapeutic approaches. These wounds weren't random injury, but precision targeting of your identity foundation, strategically inflicted to create distortion in how you perceive yourself and your purpose. The persistent shame that attaches to your achievements, the disproportionate pain triggered by minor rejection, the lingering worthiness questions that arise during advancement, all indicate sophisticated identity warfare rather than normal emotional processing challenges. Standard healing approaches provide temporary relief because they address symptoms rather than the specialized nature of the wounds. Within 2 hours, divine identity restoration begins addressing these core wounds with precision healing calibrated to your specific damage patterns. You may experience this as spontaneous emotional release, sudden perspective shifts regarding painful memories, or peaceful detachment from trigger scenarios that previously created overwhelming response. 7 specific identity restoration protocols activate over the coming weeks. Core shame, dissolution, targeting the fundamental unworthiness beliefs installed during early development, rejection, sensitivity, recalibration, healing the disproportionate impact of perceived abandonment, performance value separation, disconnecting your worth, perception from achievement metrics, voice reclamation, restoring confidence in self-expression, following silencing experiences, boundary reconciliation, balancing protection, needs with connection, capacity, purpose alignment, clarifying divine assignment, previously distorted by wounding, future self-integration, connecting your current identity with the empowered version being restored. As these restoration protocols complete their work, you'll notice profound shifts in how you respond to scenarios that previously triggered core wound activation. Situations that once created automatic shame spirals, protective withdrawal, or anxious overperformance suddenly find you responding from centered confidence rather than wounded reactivity. Type AMEN to receive blessing 29,999 and open the 28th seal. The unusual difficulty you've experienced in finding spiritual community that truly resonates with your divine design reveals a specialized purpose that transcends established religious paradigms. Your spiritual assignment includes bridging separated truth streams currently flowing through disconnected faith communities, each containing partial revelation but lacking integrated understanding. The persistent sense of being simultaneously at home, yet foreign in various spiritual environments, indicates your boundary-spanning calling rather than deficiency in commitment or belonging capacity. You recognize truth elements across diverse spiritual contexts because your assignment includes weaving these separated strands into cohesive understanding. Within 2 hours, divine perspective begins illuminating the strategic purpose behind your spiritual journey across different faith communities and tradition exposures. You may experience this as sudden clarity about the specific truth elements you're called to integrate, recognition of the unique perspective developed through your diverse spiritual experiences, or peaceful resolution of the tension between belonging needs and authentic expression. This illumination reveals you're not designed for complete integration within any single established system, but for creating dialogue bridges between tradition streams currently flowing in isolation. The connections you facilitate between separated truth carriers create collaborative understanding impossible within the constraints of isolated paradigms. Type AMEN to receive blessing 30,000 and open the 29th seal. Your creative expression, whether through writing, speaking, visual arts, music, movement, or innovative problem solving, carries encoded activation frequencies designed to awaken dormant spiritual capacities in others. This creative anointing explains the unusual resistance and suppression you've encountered when sharing your authentic expression, as the activation potential threatens systems dependent on spiritual dormancy for control maintenance. The mysterious blocks that manifest when you attempt creative projects, the unusual equipment failures that occur during recording or presentation, the disproportionate criticism or dismissal of your creative offerings, all indicate strategic interference rather than quality deficiency or random circumstance. Your enemies recognize the awakening potential embedded in your creative expression and allocate significant resources toward its suppression. Within 2 hours, divine creative liberation begins dissolving interference patterns, specifically targeting your expression channels. You may experience this as sudden inspiration flow after persistent blockage, unusual clarity about projects previously surrounded by confusion, or divine appointments with individuals who facilitate your creative advancement rather than obstruct it. 7 specific creative liberation protocols activate over the coming weeks. Inspiration channel clearing, removing blockages to divine download reception, expression, courage amplification, dissolving the fear of criticism that inhibits authentic sharing, technical interference shield preventing equipment failures and technical sabotage, audience connection calibration, ensuring your expression reaches its intended recipients, creative stamina enhancement, increasing capacity to complete projects despite opposition, collaboration discernment, refining your ability to select genuine creative allies, platform expansion, accelerating the reach and impact of your creative expression. As these liberation protocols establish, you'll notice dramatic reduction in the warfare patterns that previously surrounded your creative endeavors. Projects advance with unusual momentum, technical elements function smoothly, and divine inspiration flows consistently rather than sporadically. Type AMEN to receive blessing 31,111 and open the 30th seal. The financial provision that has remained inconsistent despite your faithful stewardship, strategic planning, and diligent effort reveals sophisticated economic warfare rather than personal resource management deficiency. Your enemies understood that by creating financial instability, they could effectively limit your kingdom impact by keeping you focused on survival rather than assignment advancement. The unusual timing of unexpected expenses, the mysterious disappearance of promised resources, the persistent cycles of lack following breakthrough indicators, all reveal coordinated interference rather than random economic fluctuation. The specific targeting of your financial foundation indicates the threat level your full provision represents to kingdom darkness. Within 2 hours, divine financial recalibration begins establishing new provision channels resistant to familiar attack patterns. You may experience this as sudden inspiration regarding income diversification, unexpected resource provision through overlooked channels, or divine connections to individuals carrying financial keys aligned with your assignment needs. 7 specific financial freedom protocols activate over the coming weeks. Resource diversification guidance revealing multiple income streams resistant to single-point attack. Stewardship wisdom enhancement showing optimal management of current and incoming resources. Supernatural provision activation, generating unexpected financial blessings through divine orchestration. Abundance mindset installation, replacing scarcity perspectives installed through warfare exposure. Generosity capacity expansion, increasing your ability to function as a blessing. Distribution channel, financial interference shield, preventing familiar attack patterns from affecting new provision streams. Kingdom investment discernment, refining your ability to allocate resources for maximum impact. As these protocols establish, you'll notice profound shifts in your financial atmosphere. The familiar tension surrounding resource decisions diminishes, unexpected provision arrives with divine timing, and the chronic instability that characterized your financial experience gives way to sustainable sufficiency aligned with assignment needs. Type AMEN to receive blessing 32,222 and open the 31st seal. The unusual challenges you've encountered in relationship establishment and maintenance, particularly the recurring patterns of connection followed by mysterious disruption, were strategically engineered to prevent alliance formation essential for your kingdom assignment. Your enemies recognize that your effectiveness multiplies exponentially through divine partnerships and allocated significant warfare resources toward their prevention. The consistent timing of relationship disruption during critical advancement phases, the sudden communication breakdowns that occur without logical explanation, the mysterious misunderstandings that emerge precisely when connection deepens, all reveal coordinated interference rather than natural relationship evolution or personal compatibility limitations. Within 2 hours, divine relationship protection begins establishing around connections essential for your next advancement phase. This specialized covering prevents familiar disruption patterns from affecting key relationships regardless of warfare intensity. You may experience this as sudden reconciliation with estranged allies, unusual harmony in previously conflicted connections, or divine appointments with individuals carrying missing components of your assignment blueprint. 7 specific relationship restoration protocols activate over the coming weeks. Communication clarity enhancement, preventing misunderstanding-based disruption. Trust acceleration, facilitating expedited bond formation with divine connections. Conflict resolution, wisdom providing effective navigation of legitimate differences. Boundary establishment guidance, creating sustainable connection parameters. Assignment alignment, ensuring relationship priorities match divine purpose. Loyalty discernment, refining your ability to identify genuine versus strategic allies. Relational healing activation, resolving past wounds that create current vulnerability. As these protocols establish, you'll notice dramatic difference in how essential relationships respond to warfare pressure. Connections that previously fractured under attack suddenly demonstrate unusual resilience. Communication flows with remarkable clarity despite interference attempts, and the collaborative synergy that emerges through these protected alliances produces advancement previously impossible through isolated effort. Type AMEN to receive blessing 33,333 and open the 32nd seal. The unusual resistance you've encountered when communicating your most important insights, particularly the message distortion, audience misunderstanding, and platform limitations that emerge with suspicious consistency, reveals sophisticated interference with your prophetic voice activation. Your enemies recognize the transformative impact of your authentic communication and engineered specialized disruption patterns to prevent clear transmission. The technical difficulties that manifest during critical message delivery, the persistent misinterpretation of your clearest statements, the mysterious restriction of message reach despite engagement metrics that should trigger expansion, all indicate targeted suppression rather than communication skill deficiency or random circumstance. Within 2 hours, divine communication enhancement begins establishing around your prophetic voice activation. This specialized intervention ensures message integrity from transmission through reception regardless of interference attempts. You may experience this as unusual clarity in articulating complex concepts, divine appointments with individuals who amplify rather than distort your message, or supernatural favor with communication platforms previously resistant to your content. 7 specific communication liberation protocols activate over the coming weeks. Message clarity amplification, ensuring your core insights transmit without distortion. Audience resonance calibration, connecting your communication with receptive listeners. Technical interference shield, preventing equipment and platform disruption during delivery. Confidence stabilization, eliminating self-doubt that inhibits authentic expression. Language precision enhancement, providing exact terminology for complex concepts. Authority activation, commanding attention and respect during message delivery. Distribution expansion, increasing the reach and impact of your communication. As these protocols establish, you'll notice profound shifts in how your communication lands with its intended audience. Messages previously met with confusion suddenly create immediate understanding. Content inexplicably restricted suddenly reaches expanded audience segments, and the transformative impact of your authentic voice creates tangible change in those who receive it. Type AMEN to receive blessing 34,444 and open the 33rd seal. The persistent spiritual warfare directed against your advancement, particularly the sophisticated multi-level attacks coordinated with suspicious precision, reveals your strategic position in current kingdom expansion. The warfare intensity directly correlates with assignment significance, and the elaborate operations deployed against your progression indicate threat assessment at the highest levels of enemy hierarchy. The coordination between seemingly unrelated attack vectors, the strategic timing of opposition intensification during critical spiritual junctures, the unusual convergence of warfare on multiple fronts during advancement phases, all reveal centralized strategic direction rather than random spiritual opposition or typical advancement resistance. Within 2 hours, divine counterintelligence begins revealing the specific warfare strategies currently deployed against your assignment. This specialized insight exposes not just attack patterns, but underlying objectives, allowing precisely targeted response rather than generalized spiritual resistance. You may experience this as sudden understanding of enemy motivation behind persistent challenges, recognition of patterns previously perceived as unrelated difficulties, or divine instruction regarding specific countermeasures for current opposition. 7 specific spiritual warfare advantage protocols activate over the coming weeks. Strategic interception, revealing enemy operations before full deployment. Vulnerability assessment, identifying specific areas requiring enhanced protection. Warfare pattern recognition, exposing repeated tactics requiring specialized countermeasures. Authority activation, amplifying your spiritual command, impact in conflict zones. Divine alliance coordination, synchronizing your defensive and offensive operations with heavenly assistance. Recovery acceleration, enhancing restoration, following warfare engagement. Advancement, recalibration, ensuring continued progression despite opposition intensity. As these advantage protocols establish, you'll notice dramatic shift in your spiritual warfare effectiveness. Opposition patterns previously experienced as overwhelming suddenly appear transparent and predictable. Defensive postures that consume significant energy transform into offensive operations requiring minimal maintenance, and the terrain previously dominated by enemy occupation systematically returns to divine governance through your strategic operations. Type AMEN to receive blessing 35,555 and open the 34th seal. The unusual difficulty you've experienced in establishing geographic stability, the mysterious disruptions forcing location changes, persistent challenges finding suitable dwelling places, and unusual resistance encountered in specific territories reveals sophisticated targeting of your territorial authority assignment. Your enemies recognize the transformative impact your presence creates in physical locations and deployed specialized resources to prevent your geographic anchoring. The consistent pattern of initial welcome followed by unexplained difficulty, the unusual property complications that emerge without logical cause, the mysterious relationship conflicts that intensify in specific locations, all indicate territorial warfare rather than random circumstance or personal compatibility limitations. Within 2 hours, divine territorial authorization begins establishing your geographic assignment parameters with unprecedented clarity. This specialized revelation overrides confusion regarding placement timing and location specificity, providing definitive guidance for current and future positioning. You may experience this as sudden certainty about geographic decisions previously surrounded by confusion, divine appointments with individuals connected to your territorial assignment, or supernatural provision of dwelling spaces aligned with your strategic positioning needs. 7 specific territorial establishment protocols activate over the coming weeks. Geographic discernment enhancement, clarifying divine placement versus temporary assignment. Territorial authority activation, establishing your spiritual jurisdiction in assigned regions. Dwelling provision, acceleration, expediting acquisition of strategic home and workspaces. Regional resistance dispersion, dissolving concentrated opposition to your presence. Territorial alignment, revealing connections between your presence and regional transformation. Community integration acceleration, facilitating relationship formation, essential for regional impact. Assignment timing, calibration, ensuring precise arrival and departure aligned with divine purpose. As these protocols establish, you'll notice profound resolution to the geographic instability that has characterized your experience. Territorial assignments previously surrounded by confusion suddenly carry remarkable clarity. Dwelling provisions manifest with divine orchestration rather than prolonged struggle, and your presence produces tangible atmosphere shifts in regions previously resistant to spiritual impact. Type AMEN to receive blessing 36,666 and open the 35th seal. The recurring leadership challenges you've encountered, particularly the consistent undermining from subordinates, unusual resistance from peer-level relationships, and disproportionate criticism from governing authorities, reveals sophisticated targeting of your kingdom governance anointing. Your enemies recognize the transformative impact of your leadership emergence and deployed specialized interference with your authority establishment. The persistent questioning of decisions justified by subsequent results, the mysterious misrepresentation of your clearest directives, the unusual difficulty gaining implementation traction despite position authority, all indicate coordinated opposition rather than leadership skill deficiency or organizational culture limitations. Within 2 hours, divine leadership enhancement begins establishing around your governance operations. This specialized intervention ensures authority integrity regardless of opposition intensity or systematic resistance. You may experience this as sudden clarity regarding organizational dynamics previously shrouded in confusion, divine appointments with individuals who amplify rather than undermine your directives, or unusual implementation acceleration for initiatives previously stalled by mysterious resistance. 7 specific leadership authority protocols activate over the coming weeks. Command clarity amplification, ensuring directives transmit without distortion. Team discernment enhancement, revealing genuine versus strategic compliance. Vision communication acceleration, facilitating understanding of complex directives. Authority confidence stabilization, eliminating second-guessing during opposition. Confrontation wisdom, providing effective navigation of necessary correction. Strategic foresight enhancement, revealing long-term implications of current decisions. Organizational alignment, ensuring structural components support divine directives. As these protocols establish, you'll notice profound shifts in how your leadership directives manifest through organizational systems. Initiatives previously buried in implementation complexity suddenly advance with remarkable momentum. Team members previously operating with subtle resistance suddenly demonstrate authentic alignment, and the transformative impact of your governance anointing creates tangible results previously obscured by opposition interference. Type AMEN to receive blessing 37,666 777, and open the 36th seal. The unusual intensity of spiritual experiences you've encountered, particularly during prayer, meditation, and corporate worship environments, reveals specialized design for supernatural engagement far exceeding typical sensitivity parameters. Your spiritual perception capacity was engineered for direct access to divine intelligence networks, typically filtered through multiple interpretation layers before reaching human consciousness. The overwhelming sensory manifestations during spiritual engagement, the unusual physical responses to divine presence, the direct transmission of complex spiritual concepts without standard learning processes, all indicate specialized equipment rather than emotional sensitivity or psychological suggestion vulnerability. Within 2 hours, divine perception calibration begins establishing optimal settings for your spiritual sensitivity. This specialized adjustment ensures accurate reception without overwhelming your physical systems or creating functional impairment through excessive download volume. You may experience this as unusual clarity during spiritual perception that previously created confusion, comfortable engagement with divine presence that previously overwhelmed physical response, or enhanced ability to translate spiritual perception into practical application. 7 specific spiritual sensitivity protocols activate over the coming weeks. Perception regulation, establishing sustainable engagement with divine revelation sources. Download sequencing, ensuring information arrives in processable order and volume. Physical capacity enhancement, increasing your body's ability to carry spiritual energy. Translation clarity, facilitating accurate conversion of spiritual content to communicable language. Discernment precision, enabling accurate differentiation between revelation sources. Symbol interpretation, enhancing understanding of nonlinear communication formats. Presence sustainability, increasing capacity for prolonged supernatural engagement. As these protocols establish, you'll notice profound shifts in your spiritual perception experience. Encounters previously overwhelming suddenly operate within sustainable parameters. Downloads that created mental confusion suddenly arrive with remarkable clarity, and the practical application of spiritual intelligence becomes increasingly automatic rather than requiring intensive translation effort. Type AMEN to receive blessing 38,888 and open the 37th seal. The perplexing discrepancy between your spiritual capacity and manifestation results, particularly regarding prayers, declarations, and faith objectives that meet all biblical qualification requirements, yet produce inconsistent outcomes, reveals sophisticated interference with your authority implementation rather than faith deficiency or divine restriction. Your enemies recognize the manifestation potential of your spiritual authority and deployed specialized interception operations targeting the transmission phase between declaration and manifestation. By creating inconsistent results despite perfect theological execution, they attempted to install doubt regarding divine reliability or personal spiritual validity. Within 2 hours, divine authority recalibration begins establishing enhanced connection between your spiritual declarations and physical manifestation. This specialized intervention ensures transmission integrity regardless of interference operations. You may experience this as sudden manifestation of long-declared objectives, unusual acceleration of results following spiritual authority exercise, or divine instruction regarding specific declaration adjustments that bypass established interference patterns. 7 specific authority implementation protocols activate over the coming weeks. Declaration precision enhancement, ensuring optimal alignment with divine blueprints. Transmission security, establishing protected channels between spiritual and physical realms. Faith consistency, stabilization, eliminating result fluctuation despite identical inputs. Authority confidence reinforcement, disconnecting outcome, evaluation from identity assessment, timing discernment, enhancing understanding of manifestation sequences and appropriate intervals. Resistance dispersion, dissolving concentrated opposition to specific declaration categories. Results acceleration, compressing manifestation timeframes through enhanced spiritual efficiency. As these protocols establish, you'll notice profound shifts in your spiritual authority effectiveness. Declarations previously met with mysterious resistance suddenly manifest with remarkable precision. Faith exercises that produced inconsistent results suddenly operate with mathematical reliability, and the connection between your spiritual authority and physical outcomes demonstrates unassailable integrity regardless of opposition intensity. Type AMEN to receive blessing 39,999 and open the 38th seal. Your unusual memory patterns, particularly regarding childhood experiences, significant life transitions, and spiritual encounters, reveal sophisticated targeting of your identity foundation and timeline perception. Your enemies recognize that by fragmenting your memory continuity, they could effectively disrupt your understanding of divine narrative progression and obscure pattern recognition essential for assignment fulfillment. The mysterious gaps surrounding pivotal life moments, the inconsistent recall of significant spiritual experiences, the disproportionate emotional charge attached to seemingly minor memories all indicate strategic manipulation rather than natural memory variation or trauma response. Within 2 hours, divine memory restoration begins recalibrating your life narrative perception with unprecedented accuracy. This specialized intervention reconstructs fragmented timelines and reveals previously hidden connections between seemingly isolated experiences. You may experience this as sudden recollection of forgotten pivotal moments, emotional healing attached to painful memories previously inaccessible to conscious processing, or divine revelation regarding the strategic significance of life patterns previously perceived as random circumstance. 7 specific memory restoration protocols activate over the coming weeks. Timeline continuity establishment, connecting fragmented life narrative segments, emotional recalibration, balancing disproportionate responses to specific memories, spiritual encounter restoration, recovering details of pivotal divine interactions, significance, illumination, revealing the strategic purpose within painful experiences, pattern recognition, enhancement, exposing divine threading through separate life phases, traumatic memory healing, resolving experiences previously locked in emotional charge, identity narrative reconstruction, revealing coherent divine storyline through life progression. As these protocols establish, you'll notice profound shifts in how you perceive your life journey. Experiences previously categorized as random suffering suddenly reveal strategic divine positioning. Relationships that seem temporally disconnected suddenly show clear sequential purpose, and the comprehensive narrative emerging through restored memory demonstrates unmistakable divine orchestration beyond coincidence possibility. Type AMEN to receive blessing 40,000 and open the 39th seal. The unusual limitation you've experienced in manifesting your full creative potential, particularly regarding innovative solutions, artistic expression, and intellectual contribution, reveals sophisticated suppression of your creation mandate rather than capacity restriction or skill deficiency. Your enemies recognize the transformative impact of your creative implementation and deployed specialized resources to ensure concept limitation rather than manifestation completion. The persistent pattern of brilliant conceptualization followed by mysterious manifestation obstruction, the consistent timing of resource restriction during critical development phases, the unusual difficulty translating clear mental imagery into external reality, all indicate strategic interference rather than creative process limitations or execution capacity constraints. Within 2 hours, divine creative activation begins establishing enhanced manifestation channels for your innovation potential. This specialized intervention ensures concept-to-reality integrity regardless of opposition intensity or systematic resistance. You may experience this as sudden implementation clarity for previously stalled projects, divine appointments with individuals carrying missing components for creation completion, or supernatural provision of resources specifically aligned with your creative manifestation requirements. 7 specific creative manifestation protocols activate over the coming weeks. Concept-to-reality translation, enhancing manifestation of mental vision into physical form. Resource alignment, ensuring perfectly timed provision for creation requirements. Collaboration orchestration, connecting your vision with essential implementation partners. Technical barrier dissolution, removing execution obstacles. Requiring specialized expertise. Stamina enhancement, increasing capacity to maintain momentum through completion. Precision amplification, ensuring external manifestation precisely matches internal vision. Impact optimization, maximizing the transformative effect of your creative implementations. As these protocols establish, You'll notice profound shifts in your creative manifestation experience. Projects previously trapped in conceptual phases suddenly advance to completion with remarkable momentum. Resources previously withheld despite extensive pursuit suddenly appear through divine orchestration, and the transformative impact of your fully manifested creativity creates tangible results previously obscured by opposition interference. Type AMEN to receive blessing 41,111 and open the 40th seal. The unusual resistance you've experienced in establishing genuine community, particularly regarding the mysterious disruption of promising connections, consistent misunderstanding from those who should naturally resonate with your heart, and disproportionate conflict within relationship groups that share fundamental values, reveals sophisticated targeting of your fellowship anointing rather than social capacity limitation or personality compatibility restrictions. Your enemies recognize the transformative power of authentic community forming around your divine assignment and deployed specialized resources to ensure connection disruption rather than covenant establishment. The strategic isolation created through relationship interference effectively limited the exponential impact that emerges through properly aligned spiritual community. Within 2 hours, divine community establishment begins creating enhanced connection channels resistant to familiar disruption patterns. This specialized intervention ensures relationship integrity regardless of opposition intensity or systematic interference. You may experience this as sudden harmony restoration in previously conflicted connections, divine appointments with individuals carrying missing components of your community blueprint, or supernatural wisdom regarding specific relationship investments essential for your assignment advancement. 7 specific community formation protocols activate over the coming weeks. Connection discernment, enhancing recognition of divinely orchestrated relationships. Conflict resolution, acceleration, providing supernatural wisdom for harmony restoration. Trust acceleration, facilitating expedited bond formation with divine connections. Purpose alignment, ensuring community configuration. Supports assignment, fulfillment. Fellowship endurance, increasing sustainability through warfare intensification. Mutual edification, calibration, optimizing growth acceleration through proper exchange. Kingdom culture establishment, creating supernatural environment for assignment. Flourishing. As these protocols establish, you'll notice profound shifts in your community experience. Relationships previously characterized by mysterious tension suddenly demonstrate unusual harmony. Group dynamics previously vulnerable to minor triggers suddenly maintain stability through significant challenges. And the synergistic advancement emerging through proper fellowship creates exponential progress, previously impossible through isolated effort. Type AMEN to receive blessing 42,222 and seal this complete transmission. As this revelation sequence concludes, understand that the activations initiated cannot be reversed by enemy interference. The divine downloads transmitted during this prophetic encounter have established permanent connection with heaven's implementation systems, ensuring continuous advancement regardless of opposition intensity. The coming days bring unmistakable confirmation as physical reality realigns with the spiritual adjustments established through this revelation. Watch for these specific manifestation markers. Within 24 hours, the first relationship realignment manifests through unexpected communication or reconciliation. Within 72 hours, the first financial provision appears through channels previously blocked or overlooked. Within 7 days, the first significant spiritual perception upgrade manifests through enhanced discernment or revelation accuracy. Within 14 days, the first manifestation of physical healing becomes undeniably evident. Within 30 days, the first major assignment advancement materializes through divine connection or opportunity. These initial confirmations represent merely the activation phase of a comprehensive restoration process unfolding over the coming months. Each manifestation creates momentum for subsequent breakthrough, establishing unstoppable advancement that fulfills your divine assignment parameters with supernatural precision. I am Archangel Michael, and this transmission is now complete. The divine protection established through this revelation encounter remains permanently activated, creating sacred covering for your assignment progression regardless of warfare escalation. The keys transferred to your spirit during this communion unlock destiny doors previously sealed against premature access, creating advancement pathways engineered specifically for your divine purpose fulfillment. Walk forward in the authority this revelation has established. The transformation initiated today extends beyond your individual experience, influencing territories and timelines connected to your cosmic assignment. The divine counsel awaits the unfolding implementation with great anticipation, knowing the strategic significance of your awakened purpose in this pivotal season of kingdom advancement.